All right, man. So this is pretty insane. So we have this clip here. So it's actually MSNBC. Out in rural Georgia, and they're actually out there interviewing some voters. And what you're going to see here is there's this really strong energy that's happening with the Kamala Harris campaign. So what's happening right now, we haven't seen this in a long time for Democrats. There hasn't been a real support for actually voting for a candidate, right? Back in 2016, it was kind of lesser of two evils, just want to prevent Trump. 2020, even more so, is even worse, right? Because people are like, man, like I don't like Biden, but I just want to vote against Trump. And so all we've seen for the past 8 years has been anti-Trump votes. But for some reason now, I'm not sure why, but everybody's really, really excited. I actually have a theorem for this we're going to talk about later. But what we're going to see here is there's going to be some really strong emotion from this woman who's going to talk about how she's so excited to vote for Kamala Harris. And I think, we can look at the polls, we can analyze the polls, but I think any forecasting we do has to take into account other factors, the fundamentals, any demographic changes, things like, in the fundamentals, what is the energy changes, what is the demographic makeup of an area, not necessarily even the change. Are there a lot of black voters there? Because then Kamala's going to do really well in Georgia, for example. So what we're going to see here is she's going to sound really, really emotional. It's going to be pretty shocking in terms of, just how she's going to react and the way that she's going to sound. But I do want you guys to check this out because it's just going to give us a really, really good view of like, man, this is the vibe that a lot of people are feeling. And it's going to give us a good insight into how women voters are feeling because she's a woman and she's going to talk about that. So go ahead and check this out. It's pretty powerful.
So tell me, how do you feel about Kamala Harris coming to town?
Exuberant, just elated that this community is going to have a first-hand contact with this incredible person who is, I'm going to cry. I am so happy that a woman may be in charge, and a very capable woman with integrity.
Yeah, man, so you guys saw that there. That was pretty powerful. I mean, she legitimately was about to break down in tears. Not in sad tears, but like happy tears where it's like, oh my God, finally, right? It's kind of like, when you listen to like Dear Mama by Kanye West, you just want to start breaking out into like happy tears, right? So she's legitimately about to break down, and man, she has quite the vernacular, she's elated, right? And I forgot what the other word she used was, but man, she exuberant, I think was the word she used. Oh man, all these big words, and she talks about how Kamala Harris is a, quote, incredible person, right? Incredible person. So it looks like there's also going to be a character vote. This, with Donald Trump being a convicted felon, a serial cheater, just a nasty fuck in general, I think this ends up being a characteristic battle as well. And Kamala Harris kind of being the prosecutor, etc. I know she's like trying to market herself big on like locking up predators and stuff like that even. I don't know if she's trying to handle like some Epstein stuff with Trump, but it's kind of also this character battle that's happening, right? And so you can tell she's really taking that big. And then what's also really shocking, obviously, is how much she's talking about how she's a woman, right? Now, the reason why I say that's shocking is because Kamala Harris almost never mentions that she's a woman. Like, if you just kind of were to be like, okay, you were to just kind of hear the stuff that she says and you had no idea, like you didn't know what the voice sounded like, you probably wouldn't be able to guess that she was a woman. You might not be able to tell either way. She's the anti-Hillary as well, because remember, Hillary couldn't stop talking about how much she was a woman. I'm a woman this, shatter the glass ceiling. Kamala never talks about any of that stuff. She always keeps it to like other stuff. She's not really big on policy either, but she just keeps it to other stuff, personal stories and stuff like that. And I personally do find her story more compelling. And so when she says, hey, like, she's I think she says an incredible person. Her story is kind of compelling, to reference sort of that Biden debate moment, right? She was that little girl, right? So she does have this kind of compelling story that's much more compelling than Hillary's as well. And so I think there's a big character feel that's going on too, where a lot of people, and we know the polls all are saying that they actually view Kamala better on all of these personal characteristics. She's better on basically all of them. And the only thing Trump really usually wins is sort of like the financial stuff right now, which hopefully that will change as well. But we can just see how there's this vibe going on right now and says, integrity, right? And the integrity thing is super interesting as well, because it's basically impossible to get Kamala on any corruption of anything, because who is Kamala Harris responsive to? She doesn't respond to anybody, right? Like, she comes out with a policy position. The Democrats have no idea, like what the report was for the no tax on tips policy. She just came out with that out of nowhere. I read the report. It was like, blindsides Democrats with the policy. She is currently the face of the party. I don't think that'll last, and I'll explain why in a second. But we can just see how powerful this is, right? And so even with the whole integrity stuff, it's hard to get her on any corruption because she's not beholden to any donors. She's not even beholden to the establishment. The establishment didn't even want her. Pelosi said Kamala Harris was not the plan. The plan was an open process. Only Allah knows what that means. Who knows what that means? It's going to be rigged as fuck per usual. But my personal theory is Joe Biden, in one last FU moment, he decided to endorse Kamala Harris by choosing her because it was not their plan to do Kamala. Just like AOC told us, she came out and sounded the horns. She wasn't lying. She was correct. She was actually right about that. So that did end up happening. So she's not really beholden to anybody either, so it's really hard. And then, yeah, it's hard to say she's not capable given all that she's done in terms of, her qualifications and everything. And so you can see that. And the emotion is just so crazy. And we were just watching this on my stream as well. A guy named Big Max sends a dono and says, hey, like, you should talk about, did you check out what Michael Moore said? Michael Moore's even hype about this, and Michael Moore's always the first guy to be like, Trump is going to win, Trump is going to win, Trump is going to win. And it's like, damn, dude. But now he's super happy to the point where he's actually drunk on the coconut juice. He thinks Kamala Harris is going to be like the next FDR or something, or like Bernie Sanders. Hell no. Hell no. So I thought, I was like, oh, nah, he's excited about her getting elected. Not just that, he's convinced she's going to be like some kind of like FDR or something. But, she's running on this as this anti-Hillary, and I do have this kind of idea here. So what I think is happening is we kind of have this sequence of hate voting right now. We have the sequence H sub N, right? H sub 1 is the hate for Donald Trump, and then H sub 2 is the hate for Biden. And so Biden, basically his votes were just H1, right? It's just a series of H sub N where N goes from 1 to 1. It's just the anti-Trump vote, right? But Harris, I call this the Kamala series, right? So it's a series of the sequence H sub N here, right? Where N goes from 1 to 2. So it's H1 plus H2, right? So she's getting these double haters. So this is called the Kamala series, right? But then the other thing that seems to be happening is you get voters like this who are going crazy because there's some kind of statistical interaction effect happening with H1 plus H2. So it's not like linear where it's like F of H1 plus F of H2 equals F of H1 plus H2. No, like there's some kind of boom that happens. Like a peanut butter jelly sandwich. Like if you took just a peanut butter sandwich, it's going to be fine. If you choose just a jelly sandwich, that's probably going to be bad. I don't know if anybody eats that. But when you combine the two, it's one of the greatest tasting things you'll ever taste in your life. That's a statistical interaction effect. Or you can think of like drugs, right? You take a drug that's supposed to help you sleep, and then another one that's supposed to help you with your heart pressure or something, and then you die. And it's like, what the fudge? That wasn't supposed to happen, right? That's not the individual sums, but something happened when you transform them together, right? So, so we have H1, H2 are real numbers here, right? Epsilon being a member of, obviously. So you have like the number line, minus infinity to infinity, you got all this stuff going on here, right? Any numbers in between there. And so H1 plus H2 is the vote for Harris. So you would think it's just the sum of hates, but I think there's a statistical interaction effect where the hate is somehow combining into love for Kamala, where people are so excited to say F Biden and F Trump, they're actually happy and excited to vote for Kamala. I'm convinced that this is the case because otherwise this does not make any sense, right? To be this excited about Kamala Harris, I guess there's the characteristic stuff, but you had Hillary, and we just didn't really see that very much with Hillary either. So it can't just be that she's a woman. There has to be something else happening. It can't possibly just be this. And so I think that we have this weird situation where Kamala Harris is getting an 08 Obama-like vote where you're actually voting for a candidate as opposed to against, but there's no good reason for it though. Everyone thought Obama was going to be the big progressive guy, hope and change, end all the wars, all this stuff, and obviously most of it didn't happen, but it doesn't matter. So what about what he ran on, right? So with Kamala, she's somehow able to get that without even advocating for any of those policy positions. She walked back Medicare for all in like 2 seconds. She actually lied about ever supporting it in the first place. She walked back a federal jobs guarantee. She doesn't support any of those progressive things that we would hold the standard to for progressives in 2020. So Michael Moore, like super drunk on the coconut juice to the point where it's like, whoa, dude. Like he's dead ass convinced that she's going to be like the next FDR or Bernie Sanders or something. It's like, what? But that's the power. That's how much people hate Trump and Biden. When you combine the two, there's a statistical interaction effect where you say, I love Kamala. I love her. I swear to God, that's the only way to explain it because otherwise this ish does not make any sense. It does not make any sense for Michael Moore to be under the genuine impression. You should listen to his podcast. He's genuinely convinced she's not going to be like the others. She's going to be special. Are you kidding me? Kamala effing Harris? She lies about her positions all the time. She lied about supporting Medicare for all. There's no way, Jose. But I'm telling you, the combination of the hates, the sum, it results in love. Hate plus hate equals love, okay? It's love. And I think that's going to run away, though. So a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen after 2028 or 2024, in 2028. I think it maybe will last longer than Biden's. I think Biden lasted like 6-7 months. Afghanistan withdrawal happens and boom, he's done forever. But I think because it's fake love, right? It's not real love. It's not fake on their part, but it's just fake in terms of it's not real. And so because of that fake love, I don't think it's going to last. So I don't think she'll be able to continue to be the face of the party. And likely the establishment's probably going to be able to push her out because the establishment doesn't like Kamala Harris and they don't like Biden either. They don't like either of them. So I think that eventually she's going to get pushed out pretty quick because it's just fake. It's not real love, but hate plus hate equals love. But hate plus hate is not true love. It's fake love. You see what I'm saying? It's synthetic love, right? It's synthetic. It's not real. It's like fake sugar instead of real. You know what I mean? So yeah, but we definitely see this is going to have a big impact on. So I'm trying to calculate for this impact as well and forecasting what's going to happen in the election. Not just look at polls, what's going on with voter registration. How are the voters feeling on the ground? What are they saying in interviews, etc.? And we can see the passion, the love, the happiness. She's about to cry, bro. Like, it's pretty powerful. It's like you can see it's genuine too. It's not fake like something Hillary would say. It's like super legit. So pretty crazy stuff going on here. Some rural Georgians, like, man, about to break down in tears over Kamala Harris.